guys. We will start with prayer, of course. Ignite Hope, our key distinctive is strategic prayer, so we believe in it fully. And before we get started with this, I just want to say thank you to all the princesses that have come out tonight that are going to be there to bless and just be role models for the little girls. I was a volunteer chaperone last year, and our two daughters who were in here earlier, Lainey's right there and Bella's already downstairs, they were both blessed to have young ladies such as yourselves just to look up to and to just feel very encouraged by. So what you're doing is really important. So I'll go ahead and open us up, and then I'm going to turn it over to Pam, and she is going to go over some protocol, expectations, safety information, and all sorts of just really good tidbits when you're working with kids in care. So dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the day. Thank you so much for everyone who's made an effort to be here, Lord, in the middle of the week, in the middle of rush hour. I just thank you for this opportunity to get together and to be able to organize an event that's just going to bless these girls who we know in our hearts are your princesses, Lord, because you are the King of Kings, and you have purposed every girl that will be there that day, every volunteer, every family member, Lord, every lead princess. We just ask that you just keep your hand on them. We ask for margin and ease to get there. We ask for health so nobody has to miss such a fun and special event. And we thank all the organizers, Lord. We ask special blessings over them and their families because they have just had such a heart for these kids. And we know that that is because you have put this inside of them, because you have such a heart for these children as well. Just take this time today, this evening, as we sit together and learn a little bit more about how to love on these children you love so much. In your name we pray. Amen. Yeah, I think we're going to have to not have that guy on that.
So, so does this work? Yeah, you're a little shorter than I am. How about that? Okay, so I can lift it up too. Does that work? Yeah. All right, so hey, I'm Pam Ritchie. Those of you who don't know me, I wear a lot of different hats, especially in the foster care world. But my most favorite hat of all is being the event coordinator for Princess for a Day. And that what kind of became born one day because I started a volunteer force called the Nanny Manny Brigade. And what our volunteers do is we come into the DFACS office and we sit with, love on, befriend the kids who are just sitting in the office waiting for foster parents to come and pick them up. There could be other reasons, but the main reason is that they've been taken into care. They're sitting in the office. So we go in there, we kind of bust them out of that little dreary room that they're in, and then we do fun things like play board games and talk, paint, arts and crafts kind of stuff, and keep them entertained and hopefully their mind off of all the weird stuff that's going on in their life. So, as the Nanny Brigade coordinator, I obviously get lots of emails from different organizations, and this one email kept coming across my desk called Princess for a Day. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I went to register my girls for it and realized it's in Oregon. And I was just like, well, that's a little far to travel. So, the next year went by, I got the same invite, and I said, man, that's so cool. Can I go to Oregon this year? So the third year it came by my desk, I called them and I said, you know, you have a great event. I was wondering if you mind if I steal it and take it to Atlanta. And they said, you know what? So many people have asked us that we've made a PowerPoint presentation on how to do it. I was like, wonderful. Do you mind sharing it with me? She said, no. But their PowerPoint presentation wasn't just, you know, you need to do this and you need to do this as far as here's a ballroom and here's a makeover room and here's a wardrobe room. They said how to find your volunteers, how many volunteers you need, how to contact the media, how to find sponsors, how to advertise the event, how to register, how to keep track of your inventory. I'm just like, wow. So it was a wealth of information, and it made it so much easier to just do this event. We did add our own touches, and we didn't follow, you know, every single little thing. I tried my best, but other people were messing with me because I'm one of those kind of people that I do not like to create the wheel. If it's working and it's doing good, just let me have the wheel and let's go and do it. But we did add a fairy godmother room. And I thought that that would be the perfect room for the Nanny Manny Brigade. So they all dressed as fairy godmothers and came out and did lots of spectacular things with the kids last year. And this year we're going to take a little different twist on the fairy godmother room. And that's actually going to be our princess training ground. So I'm going to show y'all a little bit of the game plan in a little bit. So we'll go over that. But I just wanted to kind of just touch on the rules. Rules kind of stink, but we have to have them. So, do you mind just passing this around? I probably don't have enough for everybody, but if y'all can share. Most of the information, the front part is about princess stuff, but on the back side are the rules. See, I made the rules really small um, because they're really not, I haven't expanded on them. So I've just kind of like note pointed them. So, not all of the children at our event are going to be foster children. There are going to be other children who are adopted children or children who live in a foster home. And I don't know if you can imagine, but a foster home can have all sorts of kids in it. So, for instance, in my home, I have a granddaughter, I have an adopted child, I have 2 children that I have guardianship. And I finally just got rid of my husband's children, my stepchildren, who are grown adults. And I was just like, yes, thank you, Jesus. But, so there could be all sorts of things, all sorts of types of children in your home. And a lot of foster homes have biological children too. So my thing is I have to have some little princesses in there that I can take pictures of and I can publish. So if we only have foster children, I have no pictures. So I have to invite somebody else in. The event up in Oregon, they charge $50 for any child who's not a foster child. And I said, ooh, I wouldn't be able to afford that. I have 3 girls who are not foster children, but they're part of my adopted home. That would be $150 for me to take my girls to be princess pampered. And it's a little bit more than princess pampering, but that's what, people would think. And so I was just like, I really don't want to charge anything. Let's see what we can do with our community and see how much money we can raise and how much stuff we can get. And it's worked out really well to where we're not really stressing out. I mean, we don't have any money left over, but we're not really stressing out that we're not going to be able to provide all of the goodies that we want to provide for the event. So, to get on with the rules, I started that because when you talk about physical contact and you think about foster children, even a positive physical contact from you or that you think is positive can be a negative physical contact for a foster child or even some children who are not foster children. So, to give for instance, we have a girl who was really upset with one of our volunteers because every time she wanted her to do something, she would politely put her hand on her shoulder. And that girl's reaction was, this. So be really careful about your positive contact with children and let them kind of initiate if they want to have a positive physical contact with you. The positive, we might think a hug is a positive physical contact. And children will want to hug you, especially if you are princesses and Prince Charmings. They will want to hug you because you're going to be awesome. And that's the first thing they're going to want to do. And there's this thing called a side hug. Is anybody familiar with hugging somebody to the side? You've got to have a really good balance. So wear some really good shoes, okay? So what you do is if a kid comes to you, they're coming to you like this, they want to get it all on. And the bad thing about a hug like this from a little kid is where is their face when they're hugging you like this? Yeah, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's here, and we want to hurry up and turn our body and kind of just like put them to the side, squat down on their level if they're itty bitties, and if they're older, then you want to do that. So that's a good kind of hug. Negative physical contact, and the only kind of example that I can give you is at one of our events called Trunk or Treat. One of our volunteers had a big old tub of candy. And this little girl came over to her big old tub of candy with her bag, and she was like, before she could blink an eye, this kid was. So the volunteer thought it'd be a great idea, because she's a mom, to grab the little girl's hand, shake it, make her let go of it, and then flew her hand up and then, did this. And that wasn't a very good contact. That was what I would call a negative contact. So if you can avoid a negative contact, especially for parents, sometimes we just don't think, this is what I would do for my kid. You can't do that for a foster kid or really anybody else's kid. So if you hit your kid on the back of the hand when they're taking a cookie they shouldn't, I don't want you to hit my kid on the back of the hand when they're taking a cookie when they shouldn't. So whether they're a foster child or not. So anyway, so those negative type of contacts, just don't do. And my number one rule which I stole from my sister-in-law, is love and respect. If it's not loving, it's not respectful, we just don't do it. And so, to give you another example of, I'm not sure if it's a negative or a positive physical contact, but it's definitely about boundaries. So last year, my little girl, who was 8, did not want to go into the ballroom. She was like beautiful and she was all dressed up and ready to go into the ballroom. Did not want to go in there. There were people in there and they were looking at her, and she's 8 years old. Well, my nephew was also at the event, and not everybody knew that he's my nephew, but you know, he's dressed up like a Prince Charming. He wasn't a Prince Charming, even though he was very handsome like a Prince Charming. But anyways, he thought that it would be a great idea to pick up Danielle and carry her into the ballroom, which to me was precious. I got some precious pictures because I know he's my nephew and that's my child, and they have a really great relationship. But for another volunteer sitting there looking at that, or another parent, they're thinking, that's a volunteer carrying one of the kids like that. I hope they don't do that to my child. So, you know, we have to establish those boundaries. So my nephew won't be here this year, but but that's just because he has a wedding to go to. But you just have to make sure, you know, that you're not allowing people to sit in your lap, that you're not allowing them to crawl up on you, you're not carrying them, and this, unless they're the little bitties, you know, and you have approval from their chaperone that it's okay if you hold her. You know, so I would just say steer clear of it if you can. There might be an instance where a mom might need your help with one while she chases after another one. So, you know, I think it's okay to hold little bitties. What do you think?
In all honesty, I did last year at a 2-year-old, and she was still potty training and all of that, but I talked to her mom first to find out what was comfortable. And just, getting her up and down the stairs and things, it was going to take a long time and a big
Right,
to
yeah.
go up and down the stairs. It's easier for me to carry her, but I got permission
Okay,
from
so
the mom first.
yeah, and all of the girls are coming with a chaperone, except for about 5 or 6, which 2 of them will be mine, or maybe 8. 2 of them will be mine, and I will be at the event, but I will not be able to chaperone them. So I'm going to assign somebody to be in charge of my kids, probably 2 people to be in charge of my kids, 1 per person. And then we have some other.
Per child.
Oh, two adults per 1 child at least, right? So we need 1 that's really sweet and 1 that's a little bit tough, right? So, all of the children will have at least a chaperone with them. We've asked that only 1 chaperone per family come this year. Last year I said 1 chaperone per child. And so people that had 5 children were racing around trying to find the 5th chaperone for their child. And I'm just like, okay, well, we don't have to do that, okay? And I didn't want to feed all of you adults, you know, I wanted to feed the princesses. So this year I just reworded it to, hey, you know, 1 chaperone per family. And, you know, I don't know, if Grandma wants to sneak in and be a chaperone, I don't think we're going to stop her, right?
That's the lead princess requirement. You just have to bring that at the door.
Yeah, you have to, oh, no, only 1 chaperone. Now, if they do come with more than 1 chaperone, I'm probably not going to kick them out or anything. But if they came with 20 of them, I might say, hey, this is a little much. Confidentiality of the children. So children who are in foster care, you know, you can't take pictures and post them online. You can't say, hey, I met Andrea Swanson at the Princess for a Day to your friends, because we just don't want to. You know, you can say, hey, I met the cutest little girl with blonde hair, blue eyes, and, you know, this, that, and the other. But to give specifics about a child is not good, or to post specifics about a child. I don't really think that this can happen, but it could, where a child might share with you some part of their life. Just in that instance, some of them really like to talk, and some of them feel comfortable about telling their story. And some people may just feel comfortable, or some children may feel just comfortable with you, to where she may share that part of her story with just you, and you don't know that. So one of the things that I just learned recently is when a child does share with you, to look at them seriously and say, have you shared this with another trusted adult? So that we make sure that if it's something that's especially unsettling, that we make sure that that child has talked to another trusted adult, and that we then also talk to a trusted adult about what the child shares with us. So we will have somebody on site, our lead foster parent of the Foster Parent Association will be there. So if there is something that a child shares with you that's unsettling, or something that you witnessed that's unsettling, we can all go talk to Rose about that. Photos on your personal phone. I would like to say don't take any photos, but I really do want you to take some photos, but just not with the children in them. So I definitely want to get a big, huge picture of all the lead princesses. I want to get a good picture of the volunteers in Ignite Hope, and then we also are going to have a little system for children whose parents have given us permission to take their pictures. I don't know how that carries forward to somebody else's phone. So they're giving me permission to take pictures of their child. They're not saying, oh, Pam, you can take pictures, and just tell anybody else that's at the event that they can take pictures and post them too. I don't think they're saying that. So you can ask the chaperone, is it okay if I take a picture with her on my phone? Any child that has signed that agreement that the parents have signed the agreement to say, hey, it's okay to take photos of my child and publish them, because that's all I care about is publishing the pictures. They'll be wearing a pink sash, and then any other child will be wearing a purple or yellow one. But people, or nothing, they don't have to wear a sash if they don't want to. So we do know that those are children that they've given me permission to photograph and publish, or really the event. So Jackie, you would have permission to publish those. So you would want to talk to their chaperone and say, hey, can I take this picture? And they might say yes, and they might say no. There are some parents that I know their children are not foster children. They do not want me to take their pictures and publish them. Accidents, injuries of yours or others. So there are going to be lead volunteers in each section. So I know that y'all are the lead princesses, but we're going to have a lead princess. Aunt Lisa. She's going to be the lead princess again. So anyway, so there will be volunteers around. So if anything happens to you, let's make sure that we fill out an accident report. We'll have some of those on site. If it's something so bad that you need to have 911 called, keep in mind that all foster parents are CPR certified. So we are in one of the safest places ever. And so all of my girls, too, that are volunteering with the Kennesaw EPO, they're all CPR certified as well. So injuries to others, like I said, all the kids will be with a chaperone. If you see that a child is injured, see if you can find their chaperone and see how that chaperone wants to handle it instead of handling it yourself. And then if it is a worse injury to where we need to call the police or paramedics or the ambulance or whatever, then we'll do that, or the chaperone will. So, and I do have like a medical protocol that I will have printed up that I actually received from a nurse. I said, hey, will you do this for me? So she did a great job, and she made up the incident reports and stuff like that. So, but if you notice that somebody got injured, that's maybe not a bad injury right now, but something that might say, okay, well, she just fell down 4 steps. Let's go ahead and document it. Even if they, oh, I'm fine. Yeah, let's just document it anyway, okay? Chaperones, if you're chosen to be a chaperone, you'll go with that child around to the different areas. So, and I'll go over that with you now. So I'm through with the rules. Does anybody have any questions? All right, there is the issue of the restroom. There shouldn't really be any reason why you should go into a restroom with a child to help that child use the restroom if they have a chaperone. If you are that child's chaperone, then depending on the age of that child would depend on what you do in the restroom. But if you're in the restroom with a child, you need to have another adult in the room with you that's not your husband or your spouse or your best friend ever, but they can still be called as witnesses against you. Wives and husbands cannot be called as witnesses against you. So, anyways, always have another adult with you when you're in the bathroom with a child. And then there was one other thing that I just thought of. Dressing room. So no men will be allowed to go in the dressing room. So we will have volunteers to make sure that men aren't confused and think that they should go in there. We're going to have a much different dressing room this year than we did last year, Sarah, so you'll be pleased. So we're actually going to have pipe and drape, and it's going to separate, yes. So, oh, sorry. So they're going to, we're going to have pipe and drape, and it's going to be split up into 6 different dressing rooms. So, and it's going to be in its own room. So it's about a room about maybe a little bit smaller than this room, and then the pipe and drape's going to be there, and then they're going to be separated into dressing rooms. And then there'll be chairs for the parents to sit in. But as lead princesses, you will be in the dressing room, but not the dressing room with them. So there's a big dressing room and then the things. So there shouldn't be a reason for you to go into the dressing room with a child. And if you need to zip them up or button them up or whatever, just have them come out of there so that or make sure the door's open or that there's another adult with you, preferably their chaperone, to help you. But some chaperones have 3 or 4 children, so they might be busy with another child. But there will be enough people to where you are not alone, and I don't want you to be alone in a dressing room or any closed room with a child, ever. So don't try to do it, and don't let them talk you into it. So anyways, all right, so we've got the game plan. So how are we doing on time?
We're good right now. I wanted to add to that, if you were helping them get into their little outfits and try things on, one of the girls that I was chaperoning last year, she wanted to keep her little white button-up collared shirt on, and so we just tried all her gowns on, so however they're comfortable. So she tried them all on with that, and the gown she chose, she wore it with her little button-up, buttoned all the way to the collar and long sleeves, and she had her beautiful gown on top, and she thought she was super cute. So.
Yeah, and some of them actually kept on their leggings and their shoes. Now, our shoe source, which is a whole different training, but our shoe sources are flip-flops, sandals, and ballet slippers this year. Last year, we only had flip-flops. So obviously, some girls are just like, well, I'll just keep on my shoes. I don't want to wear flip-flops. So, and that's fine, but tell them to take a pair of flip-flops because those will be really cool to wear around, after you leave the event. So it's a free pair of flip-flops. So let's see. Grab one of those chairs for me, and I'll just kind of set this up on here. Because somehow I messed it up to where it's all bent and it won't stay up straight. Something about being in the car. So, hey, this is the game plan. So right here is the registration table. So people will be entering. Has anybody been to the Cobb Civic Center before? Just a couple. So it is a humongous place. And so maybe I can just do this. So it's a humongous place. So when you walk in, it is just open and airy and very bright if it's sunny outside. So there's going to be a lot of room in between here and the registration table. And then the registration table pretty much butts up to like a hallway to walk over to the makeover room and the wardrobe room. These are upstairs. So this floor right here is downstairs, but it's really open because it's actually a basketball arena. So when you're in the makeover room or the wardrobe room, you can look down into the ballroom, the fairy godmother room, and Coach Camille's corner. So, and there's nothing we can do to hide it. So I thought about putting some pipe and drape along these walls, but that cost too much money. So I was just like, never mind. They could see it anyways if there was pipe and drape. So anyways, what's going to happen here is our lead princesses. There's 4 there, 4 there. I'm just going to do this real quick, and then I'll go into this more detail with you. Oh, thank you. So as the lead princesses, or as the girls come in to register, they are going to take the children, and they are going to like alternate them between makeover and wardrobe. Then once the girl's through with makeover, she's going to come over to wardrobe via step number 2, and not through the back, but through the front. And then if she's through with wardrobe, she's going to go over to makeover. Then once the lead princesses see, hey, this little girl is makeover and she's all through with wardrobe, we're going to take her to the blessing room. And the blessing room is also going to be kind of like our staging room. So y'all got enough time to bless the girls and do what it is that y'all are going to do. And Jackie, I don't know if you want to give us, when you get through with that, kind of like give the lead princesses a short synopsis of what you're going to do in the blessing room. And what we're going to do, the lead princesses, is they are going to wait until about at least the very first ones. Okay, so we have 215 girls coming. We have 4 time slots that they're coming in, 12, 12:45, 1:30, 2:15. There's going to be 40 to 50 girls at each one of those time slots. So 25 girls here, 25 girls here. And then fruit basket turnover, 25 girls here, 25 girls here. Then these are going to trickle over to the blessing room. So there's either going to be 4 girls coming from here, 4 girls coming from here, so now there's 8. So we're going to wait for the first group to have about 15 girls, and then we're going to gather them all up, and then they're going to go down to the ballroom where Prince Charming is going to lead them into the room while the MC is introducing them. So, for instance, the MC might say, introducing Princess Pamela from Kennesaw, and then Prince Charming would lead me into the room. I'm hoping that we can talk the little girls into doing some kind of curtsy once they, Prince Charming gets them in the middle. And then they're going to enjoy the ballroom. And so we're going to have a DJ, and we're going to have food, princess food, and we're going to have photo shoots with Anna and Elsa and Eric and Ariel. Prince Eric and Ariel will be there. And Miss Cobb County is also going to come and join us. And so we are also going to have, so we're going to have photo shoot areas here and here with Anna, Elsa, Eric, and Ariel. And then I'm not exactly sure what Miss Cobb County is going to do when she gets there, because she hasn't returned my call, but she did say she was going to be there. So, and then FGM is Fairy Godmother Room. CCC is Coach Camille's Corner. We're going to give the girls about 30 minutes in the ballroom, and then we're going to open up these rooms. And in these rooms, we're going to do like different activities. So this room is for 2s to 10s, and this room is for 11s to 18s. And so this blessing room is going to be pretty much probably starting about 12:30, 12:40. It is going to be like a continual stream of girls into there. But we're hoping that it's going to work out to where there's like 10 girls in the room, and then we're moving them. 10 girls in the room, and then we're moving them. So that's the game plan, and it's just going to keep on and keep on and keep on until probably about 2:45 is when, yes, the last group, 2:45, because they're coming in at 2:15, so they should be 2:45, 3 o'clock, they should be going down into the ballroom. So that's the game plan, and this is my perfect world scenario, so y'all know that it will not work like this, right? So some girls who are scheduled to be there at 12 won't get there until 2. Some girls who are 2 will get there at 12. Some girls who didn't register will show up. Some girls that didn't register won't show up. And then my grand plan of it taking 15 to 20 minutes in each one of these rooms definitely will not work for some girls. But I'm hoping the majority of the girls will be done with makeover and wardrobe within 45 minutes and over to the blessing room.